Hello guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So in today's video we are going to start marking our starting line, which I've ruled out already. So remember that our fabric is folded into two. Yes, our fabric is folded into two. So next thing after marking the starting line is to mark my waistline, which is also my half length, which is 17 inches. Now another thing to do after marking it is to mark our hip line. So for our hip line, I'm going to place in my tape on my waist and mark out 8 inches. And after this, I'm going to mark out our desired length. So I want mine to be 40 inches and I'll go ahead and mark it, including my 1 inch sewing or hemming allowance. So now after I was done marking it out, I'll go ahead and mark 1 inches on the edge of my fabric, just like you see me doing on the camera. So after that, I'm going to connect it together. I'm going to connect the 1 inches that I marked together. Now after this, my measurement is now going to start from the 1 inch that I marked. Now next is to mark my shoulder measurement, which is divided by 2. I'll mark it and mark my desired sleeve length. For my sleeve length, I want my sleeve length to be 7 inches, of which I have done. I'll come down by 1 inches and mark. Then for my neck, for my neck width, I'm using 3, and neck depth for the back 1.5. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect it. Then after curving it like so, I'm going to mark in my shoulder slope, which you see me doing on the camera right now. Now after this, I'm going to determine my sleeve opening. I want my sleeve opening to be around 7 to 8 inches. So go ahead and do what works for you. So next is to divide my waist circumference by 4. And after that, I'll mark what I have, including my 1 inch ease allowance, because this dress is not going to be a tight one, neither will it be too loose. So after that, I will impute my 2 inches sewing allowance. Same thing applicable on my hip. I will divide my hip by 4, add 1 inch for ease and 2 inch for sewing allowance. Same thing applicable on my hemming part. I'll also do the same thing, and for my bust circumference, I'm going to mark and divide my bust on the point where I have my sleeve opening. That is where I'm going to measure my bust circumference. Then next is to connect everything together. Now for my armhole, if you notice, I didn't make it to be in a block form. I gave it a kind of curve. This is for my armpit to balance well. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but please, if you don't understand, look closely to what I'm doing on the camera. So after this, next now is to cut everything out. So next thing now is to cut everything. And after I'm done cutting, this is what I have. This is what it looks like. So I've went ahead to fold another fabric to cut out our fronts. So I'm going to trace out everything. I'm not going to add anything, neither will I minus anything. So I'm going to cut out the same thing that I have for my back. Both the 1 inches that we add for our zip, I'm going to add it because remember that this dress has a slit on the front. So I'm also going to add the one on the front. So I'm definitely cutting everything out. So after this, I'm giving it a notch to indicate that this is where my hemming will start, and this is where the 1 inch that we added. So now next thing to do now is to place in the back fabric to the front, so that I will still be guided with the chalks that I have already on the back pattern. Now after cutting it out and after placing it together, I'm going to cut out the neck. Remember when I cutted the back, I didn't cut the neck. So after I was done, this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead now and give a notch to where I have my slit and my zip. So I'm going to keep the front piece aside. Then for the back piece, I'm going to go ahead now and open the slit. So I'll open this zip allowance that I have, so that we'll have two back and two front. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but I've cutted it out already. I'm also going to do the same thing on the front that I kept aside. I'm also going to open up the slit allowance that we added, the 1 inch that we added earlier on. I'm going to open it up so that we are going to have the two front pieces and two back pieces. I don't know if you actually get what I'm trying to say. So right now, the next thing I'm going to do now is to determine our neck for the front. So I'm going to give it a V neckline. So if you know how you used to do your V neckline, just go ahead and use that method. So for me, this is how I used to do it. I'll stop at that point where I have my 1 inch. So this is how I'm going to cut it out, and this is how it will look like. So for the front neck depth, I have 7 inches. I have 7 inches for the neck, for the front neck depth, and for the back neck depth, remember that we have just 1.5 inches there. So now after this, the next thing I'm going to do now is to turn it up using my bias. I will do this separately, like I'm going to do it on the two sides of the front, and I'm also going to do it on the back. So I'm going to turn it up using my bias, and after that, the next thing now is to placing my front pattern together after turning it with my bias, just like you see me on the video. So I'm going to place it just like the way you see me doing on the video, and I'm going to arrange everything to be in accordance. Then after this, the next thing I'm going to do now is to pin down the 1 inch that we left for our slit, our front slit. So I'm going to pin it down first for you to see and understand what I'm doing. So I'll pin it down till I get to the hemming part. But remember that I'm not going to reach the hemming part. I'm going to measure 6 inches from my hemming part. I'm going to measure in 6 inches, though I want my slit to be 5 inches. But for the sake of the hemming allowance that I added, for the 1 inch hemming allowance that I added, that was make it 6 inches. Because after taking the hemming allowance, I'll be left with 5 inches. So I'm going to place my tape at my hemming part, then I'll mark in 6 inches. So I will stitch from my neck like this, and I will stop at the place, at the point where I have my 5 inches. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but please, if you don't get what I'm saying, just look closely to the video. Then next now is to determine where I will have my pocket opening. So what you see me marking now is my half length, which is 17 inches. So I'm going to give it a notch to know that this is where my pocket will start from. So I went ahead to cut out the pocket already. So for the pocket width, I have 6 inches. You can go ahead and have more than that. And for the depth or length, I have 8 inches. So this depends on how wide and big your hand is. You can go ahead and make yours to be longer and wider than mine. Now next thing now is to place in my back pattern together, arrange them equally, and do the same thing as well. I will measure in my 17 inches, which is my half length, just to indicate that this is where my pocket opening is going to start from. So I'm going to measure the 17 inches and give it a notch as well. And after that, I'm going to place my tape on the neck to determine how the place where I'm going to attach my zip. So for my zip, I have 21 inches. I'll mark 21 inches. So, and from that 21 inches, I'm going to stitch down all the way to the hem part. I will stitch from the place where I marked the 21 inches. I will stitch it down to the to the hemming part. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and hem my the bottom part of my fabric. I'm going to hem it down. So after I was done, this is what my back piece looks like. I've went ahead to join it together to form one back. So this is it. This is my zip. I've went ahead to attach my pockets, the two pockets. I've went ahead to also hem the bottom part, leaving the seam open. So I'll keep this aside now and bring the front for us to see and continue working on it. Now for my front, I'm going to place it like so. I've also went ahead to stitch down the 1 inch that I was talking about. I will stitch down like so, and I've also went ahead to attach one side of the pocket, leaving the other side of the pocket, so that I will show you guys how I did that. So for my pocket, this is how I do it. I will place it right side facing the right side of the fabric, just like you see me doing on the camera. Now from the place where I give it a notch, that is where I'm going to start pinning. That is where I'm going to start stitching it from. So I will stitch it all the way to where my sleeve sorry, my pocket width end. Now after that, for my slit, this is how we are going to do it. So for my slit, remember that I want it to be 5 inches, but for the sake of the 1 inch hemming allowance, I'm having 6 inches here. But after stitching up the hemming allowance, I will still have the 5 inch that I want to have as my slit. Now before stitching it, before hemming the bottom part, I will first of all hem my slit. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it just the way you see me doing. I'll fold it like so and stop stitching at the point where I have the 6 inches, just the place where I mark my chalk, where my slit is going to stop. So that is how I'm going to do it. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and hem the bottom part of my fabric for me to have the 5 inches that I want to have for my slit. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and stitch the bottom part. Now next is for us to attach our front, I don't even know what to call this, but the front design. So for this, I'm working with my satin. I have doll face here, and what I cutted out was 2 inches wide, and I folded in half inch on both sides so that I will have 1 inch left at the end of the day. So I went in to iron it like this, and this is what I have. So now how I'm going to place is that I'm going to place it very close to the main fabric so that our fabric will not be showing after we are done stitching it, after we are done attaching it to our main fabric. So I'm going to stitch it very close. So I'm going to stitch it, and remember that when stitching it, please make sure that you leave your seam open. So make sure that you leave your seam open. So after I was done, this is what I have. This is what it looks like. So I will go ahead now and place my back pattern on the front and stitch down the shoulders, shape my clothes, and that will be all for this tutorial. So guys, if you find this my video helpful, please do well to like my video, share, and subscribe to my channel as well. Turn on the notification bell so that whenever I post any video, you'll be notified. So guys, this is me. This is me trying to place in the back pattern on the front so that I would shape my fabric in accordance. So I'm going to go ahead now and stitch the shoulder, hem my sleeve, then shape down the, the cloth using the sewing allowance that we left for it. And after this is it. this fabric, this dress is actually easy. It's actually easy. So guys, see you guys in my next one. Bye.